Welcome to the Scam Economy with your host, Matt Bender.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Scam Economy post show. I hope you all enjoyed that episode on El Salvador, 1 year in of its Bitcoin law that made the cryptocurrency official legal tender of the country. I thought Domingo was great. We really got into a number of things all over the place. Not all over the place, makes it sound like we were disheveled. I mean, we tackled a number of different issues related to the ongoing situation in El Salvador. And still, even then, I feel like we were just scratching the surface. So much more to talk about. Looking forward to having Domingo back on, Mario Gomez back on. Maybe we could do there's a few other people too that I'm familiar of their work in covering the Bitcoin law and the situation in El Salvador. Maybe we could do like a big episode with everybody on board and really just like discuss the most important issues. I think this is, a fascinating case. It's really giving everybody a real look, like a real life demo here of what Bitcoin as legal tender looks like on scale. And it's not good. And it has created a number of effects on other areas. Again, can't blame Bitcoin for everything here, but it certainly has played a role. Oh, we already have a caller. Hey, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, Matt.
Hello, Cameron. How are you?
Hi, this is Cameron Robinson. I'm calling in from a part of Canada that I can't currently disclose.
Oh.
I wanted to just call in
a secret location.
Try to help support your show.
Oh,
Is that okay?
You. Of course.
I know that you've been having some financial problems recently because of your incredibly wrong take about Tim Pool's awesome music. And that's
do you think that's why I lost some patrons over the past couple of weeks? Do you think
I think that it's because you don't understand the need for like real emo music in our culture today, and that the globalists like your friend Scam Cedar and Emma the Vigland
the Vig
and Matt Leach.
Ooh.
So I thought I got a great idea. If everyone's got to do you see this little baby here?
Oh, is that a guinea pig?
Yeah, look at him.
Tasty.
He's so cute. They are. They look tasty. But they're so cute. If everyone doesn't become a patron, this little boy's going in the mine.
Oh, no.
And they're in the coal mine, baby.
Oh, no.
I'm going to check it out. I'm going to see if there's gas. Oh, look, he's just realizing now what's going to happen. So I'm doing this on behalf of and in the name of your show.
I appreciate that. Let me ask you a question, Cameron, though. Do you think, I noticed that you have an article of clothing on top of your head, and you don't usually wear that. Do you think that article of clothing that you're wearing on top of your head is sort of maybe skewing your opinion on Tim Pool for, certain obvious reasons?
No, 1 second. If you want to get my article of clothing on my head skewed, let me switch this one out for...
Cameron, I was basically asking, was your beanie...
That's the Tim Pool one right there.
Is your beanie on too tight? That's my question.
No, it was the color of my... See, it's all about color and colorism. And the darker my... because, which is frankly quite racist of all of you people, the fact that the darker his beanie is, the more you should be offended by him.
Hey, I gotta say, I was completely just as offended by your other beanie. So I'm what is it that I what is that stupid thing that like edgy people say? It's like I hate everyone equally. That's me right now with your beanies. Uh-oh.
That's racist.
No, I actually think I like you best with the sombrero because I am that's a cowboy hat. I thought it was a sombrero for a second.
If it's a sombrero, then it's a child sombrero because it only sits on the top of my head.
That is a cowboy hat. That's on top of your beanie. What's the guinea pig's name?
Look at him.
Is it Cooey?
He's gonna go away unless you support Matt Binder's show.
Patreon.com/Matt Binder, folks.
Look into his eyes. He barely even knows what's happening.
What's his name?
I didn't even give him a name.
Oh, you just got him?
I knew the tragedy that was gonna happen.
You just got him?
Huh?
Is he a new pet, or you had him for a long time?
I've had him for a long time.
How old is he?
I don't know, a year or something.
That's not a long time. Thanks for the call, Cameron. Always a pleasure. Was there anything else you wanted to?
One more thing.
Oh, one more thing. All right. Oh, jeez, that was loud. And what was that?
It's a drum.
Oh, what? Okay.
Good night.
Take care, Cameron. Always a pleasure. I think that's the perfect opportunity right now to drop patreon.com/Matt Binder to support this show. And let me take this opportunity. I'm talking without that. What is this here? What is this here? Can you see something? What? Okay, I thought something was on the screen. My bad. Patreon.com/Matt Binder to support this show. And then we take this opportunity, like Cameron said, there hasn't been too many because it's been a slow month, for the slowest month in the history of me doing this show, Patreon-wise, I'll tell you. But Philip R., Jake, and Kerry W., thank you so much for subscribing to the Patreon page at patreon.com/Matt Binder and becoming a patron. Without your support, this show could not be possible. You guys really help me keep it going by giving me all the patrons give a certain amount, and that amount lets me know that I will be able to cover this, and this, and maybe put this aside for that. Thanks to your funding of this program and my other show, Doomed, at doomedcast.com. It's a Friday night. So I guess I should, what's going on here, man? Why are you doing a show on Friday? It's usually Thursday and no one's watching because it's a Friday night and people are out, I guess. Well, it's been a busy week. On Wednesday, I went to AEW Grand Slam, the big wrestling show in Queens at the Arthur Ashe Stadium. It was fantastic. My son came with me, and that was a lot of fun. His first wrestling show. And then on Thursday, the very next day, the reason I couldn't do this show Thursday night is because my significant other, my partner, the mother of my children, she is a fan of the podcast Last Podcast on the Left. They're a very big, popular podcast. And hold on, I'll take your call in 1 second. Give me just 1 second, caller. And basically, they were supposed to do a show in New York City, a live show in 2020. That got canceled because of COVID, and it was moved to May 2021, excuse me. And I bought tickets in November of no, it was supposed to be in May of 2022 after it got pushed from 2020. And I bought the tickets in November 2021 when they went on sale. And one of them got COVID, and so they had to push it again. So a year after buying the tickets, they just had a show, and we went. And, I thought it was a good show. I'm not the world's biggest fan of the podcast. It's a good show though. They have a wrestling segment. I like that. They have a good like conspiracy segment. I like that. Um, but I really had a good time. It's a great show, and that's why I didn't have the I just realized it made me sound kind of like an asshole, and I was like, I'm not the biggest fan of them. But I just meant like I don't regularly listen. I enjoy when I do, but I'm not like a regular listener. If it wasn't for my my significant other's fandom of this show that she listens to every episode of, probably wouldn't have gone to the live show. But I went, and it was good. And so, all right, I'll take calls again. Sorry to that call in. There was a second person who just tried to call in. I just wanted to let people know where I was yesterday instead of doing this show. Oh, we got a huge super chat. Sherman Brown in the YouTube live chat with a super chat. $50. Thank you so much. I got you, Matt. Love all of it. Just now got my life together recently. Appreciate the content. Thank you, Sherman. I really appreciate that. And I'm very happy to hear that, things are going well for you. Because I know that a lot of people, when they do cancel their membership, there's a few who give me a nasty message. But the vast majority of people either say they give me like a what they would like to get out of it, some constructive criticism, but like 99% just simply say, love the show, couldn't keep doing it because of financial difficulties or lost my job. And for that, completely understand. Always say, take care of yourself first, and disposable income comes your way and you want to give to the show, then go ahead, please. All right, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
This is Jeremy calling from Richmond, Virginia.
Hey, Jeremy, how are you? What would you like to talk about today?
I was calling in just to complain about my job a little bit.
Perfect. And I gotta say, I was gonna ask, really quick, how did you find out about my live streams? But judging by the giant Michael Brooks poster behind you and the Majority Report
shirt.
T-shirt, yes, I'm pretty sure I know where.
Yeah, so I was calling to complain about my job. It's kind of a startup. It's a medical device monitoring company, and still kind of small. We had 101 people, and then Thursday they laid off 35 people, just on the dot. It was just really shocking. They fired people from every department. Luckily, I escaped by, but it was weird. They called like an emergency meeting. We do like weekly meetings on Zoom, and has everybody in the company on it, including the CEO, who spends just like the hour just talking just corporate jargon. And the weirdest part about it is they started off saying it's been a sad day, and I had no idea what was happening. I thought maybe someone had died. And then they just said that, they reorganized. They just got rid of half the people in the company, basically. And they're like, do whatever you can to support them. It's, it's really tough times for them. Like, support them. You got rid of their job just with no notice.
You do something to support them, my God.
Yeah, and that was the thing. It's like, yeah, it's, sometimes it can't be helped. This is after like a few months of announcing like the company's really growing. We got record profits. They just hired a bunch of people. They basically fired everyone they just hired, kind of wasted their time. And then he's talking about how, oh, we could be $1 billion company. I can see it. I can taste it. It's just like we're so close, even though we're practically brand new. And I think the most disheartening thing about it was my coworkers' reactions. So most of us work remote. We don't really know each other that well, but everybody on our next meeting, like our team, was just like, I'm glad it wasn't me, and my manager just giving the spiel like, oh, the boss, he trusts us. He thinks we're the best. He didn't get rid of us because we're the good ones. He won't do that to us.
Oh, boy.
And everyone's like, yeah, I guess they deserved it. And I was like, I can't believe it. These people talk in the chat every day like they're friends, sharing family photos. And as soon as they're gone, there's no solidarity. Just like, I guess they deserved it.
That's gonna be a rude
disappointing.
awakening for them when it eventually comes around to them.
Yeah.
It's
Eventually it will probably happen to all of us, but
yeah. I mean, the fact that, like you said, the company's doing quite good, quite fine, and still laid people off. I mean, it should be clear to them that them keeping their job has basically nothing to do with there's no correlation between how the company's doing and who got fired or how many people got fired.
Yeah, that was kind of what they said. Like they announced that, also good news on a sad day. Our investors will keep us afloat to March 2024. So it's like, so you don't not even worried about making money. It's just like you're getting free investor money.
Is
And
this and you said it's a startup. Is it like a startup, like a, would it be considered like a Silicon Valley type startup, or is it not in
yeah,
that
I
realm?
think so. I'm not exactly sure, but they're based in California. Um, they started as like some home fitness device, and that wasn't paying too well. And then they switched over to more of like a medical thing, working with doctors' offices. Um, and they just found money in that, so they're just focused on doing that stuff now. I guess they're getting more money from insurance companies. Um, and of course, the another horrible thing is now we've got to pick up the slack. There's less of us to do stuff, so everyone's just like driven. Like I really have to do more work to prove that I'm um, worth keeping my job because everyone's feeling scared and stuff.
That's what, of course,
Uh,
that's what they want. They want the idea that, whoa, look, we can save money and have less workers, and the people we keep around will pick up the slack. Why don't they'll trust me? They'll just decide. Oh, let's see how much further we can take this. Another 2 dozen layoffs. Guys, you got to pick up the work from the people who left. Fast forward some more, another couple layoffs. Oh, guys, we really need your, yeah. This never
yeah,
it never ends like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and the disturbing part about it is that besides the talk of like, I'm glad it wasn't me. Those people probably weren't doing too well. They really appreciate my hard work. Is they're talking about we'll make some other changes, like maybe we're not going to have people on weekends, and rather than those, you could just log in on the weekend. Like most of us are working Monday to Friday, 8 to 5. They're like, oh, maybe on the weekend, you just check your thing real quick, see if there's any like emergency alerts, and you call those people. It's like, but then we're working every day of the year, just 7 days straight, year round. It's like, I'm not going to do that. Like, no one wants to speak up. It's like, I don't care if it gets me fired, but uh, people are either just super enthusiastic about it or just super quiet because they don't want to speak up. So be like, oh, it doesn't take that long. You just takes 5 minutes to look at something, and there is something to do, just one thing a day. And the boss is like, well, I know some people like to disconnect for the weekend and have some time off, but you need to really step up for your patients. Like, don't try to guilt trip us. You're cutting people that could be doing this.
All right.
So that's
No.
my story. Just another example of America doing what it always does. Um,
Yeah.
it's one thing to hear the
That's
manager
that's a
speak and the
that
CEO speak, but just the low totem pole people like myself and not caring, it's just sad.
right. That's it's a thing that has been happening a lot, where these tech companies try to expand, hire a shit ton of people without really looking forward.
Yeah,
And when it doesn't work out, oh well, we'll just cut everybody without thinking about all the people they just hired, usually less than a year earlier,
yeah,
and who expected to some people I bet move or left other jobs and expected to be with the company for at least a little bit longer than a year. You usually
yeah,
plan to stay at a company for at least a year or two, especially if it's like, obviously in different industries it's a bit different. But like that type of job, usually you plan to stay for like 2 or 3 years.
yeah. That's the thing I was just asking question meetings, like, were people fired just because like they just weren't doing their job? Was it a financial decision? Like, oh, it's purely financial. Um, we just had to trim the fat. Uh, Basically, all departments got cut, like the entire sales team. I work on the clinical side, but people in the tech support as well as clinical side were cut. But then they announced they had two more directors coming in, like directors, like not even like management people. These are just people on the board. Um, it's so tone deaf the way they communicate. Um, I try to listen to the meetings anyway because it's just the CEO rambling to just to the rest of us low people who really have nothing to do with it. They're talking about shareholder meetings and meeting with different companies that are bigger. They're just hoping to get bought out, I think, by one of like the big medical giants.
Yeah, it always amazes me when listen, I get the need for company meetings to talk about basics of what's going on, but when like they get into like the real nitty gritty of like the business end of things, where they start talking about more than just the basic financials and like
Yeah.
acquisitions and stuff, it's like, listen, am I getting something?
Yeah. It's a talk like we're on the horizon of being a billion-dollar company, which I don't think
Right, am
we're
I getting a
that
cut of
close yet.
this? I mean,
But there's
am
no
I going to
mention
see a
of like our
raise?
pay going up or anything.
Yeah.
Um,
I've been in
I had to
companies
take a
where
pay cut
that's
because
been
I
like,
was
I mean, that's pretty much every company I've
yeah.
been in, where like they have the big meeting to say what's going on like the biz end side of things, and it's like, all right, I appreciate obviously the transparency and the need to know, some basics here. But then when you get really into some of the details, it's like, all right, do I need to know this? And if you think I need to know this, then I believe I am due a raise of some sort.
Yeah, it's just constantly wanting more for less. The CEO like the only thing he does is seem to do like these Zoom meetings. He doesn't really seem to have anything else. There's like a high level manager for each department with their own manager structures. Again, we're a company of like now just a couple dozen people, so it's a lot of fluff. I mean, we're barely just at 100. We just cut that nearly in half. But his big contribution is just coming with like slogans like we want to be a V for value company. And like it's like Sesame Street. Like, what's the
Right.
point of saying V for value? Just say we want more value. But it's always just like
Wait, what does
that's
that
the
even,
new thing
what does
for
that
we.
even mean too? What does that even mean? We want more
Yeah, I don't know.
value?
It's like we need to be more of a V for value company. We got to,
I mean, it
we
seems
got to
like
look at
it seems
getting
like
more
a
value for, our customers or something. Um, and by the customers, he doesn't mean the actual patients. He means the doctor's offices who get reimbursed by insurance, who then pay them for having patients.
right.
It's all very convoluted. Um, yeah. So.
I mean, I gotta say, maybe I should um, start one of these companies, these startups, and run it and use marketing startup jargon and roll in the cash. Seems like
Yeah.
very easy. Honestly, seems like a very easy job.
Yeah, I
Not
mean,
your,
like
not what
you don't
you
have to
do.
know how the
I'm
stuff
talking about
works.
the
You
guys
you
at the
hire
top.
scientists to do it. You get data engineers to program it, and you could try out one thing. If it fails, like this fitness device thing they launched, and just kind of try to just redirect it to another thing, and just get a bunch of investors speculating on it, and maybe it doesn't work out, but you get that investment money, and then you just cash out.
Right. Yeah. Oh,
All
let
right,
me
well
tell
that was
you,
it.
if someone came to me, if I had a company that like a startup, and someone came to me and wanted to offer me money for it, I would sell it right away.
Yeah,
I would cash in right away. I wouldn't be one of those people who are like, yeah, I turned down the $10 million offer because I want to grow this into a multi-billion-dollar business. I don't. I want you to give me $10 million after about 2 years of work, and I'm set. I'm done. I'm out of the game.
yeah, and I think they have to be flush in money because I know they're based in California. They have like a big office. They were just bragging a few weeks ago. They opened a giant office in New York City. But most of us work from home, like the tech support people, the clinical people, like nurses, respiratory therapists. They have a few people in a warehouse to actually physically ship things out. Um, so it's like they're opening these big office buildings for maybe what like 10 people or something. I mean, I guess they're hoping to expand, but not really. I think they just told us with the layoffs they're not looking to hire anytime soon. Um, probably what they're going to need is a lot of the smaller people just who can work from home. You just get a laptop and then you could do the job from there. But they're just spending money left and right, I think, opening just major offices in huge cities, doing flights to, across the world, doing international conferences like medical device expos. So people are flying off to Spain and so on. It's crazy.
Like, do these? I feel like do these events even really do anything for the bottom line in the end? Like, just to be there? I mean, seems like it's a waste of money, honestly. If you're a startup and you're firing people because you're laying people off, because who knows why? But seems like the
Yeah.
trips are a tad unnecessary, especially nowadays, like post 2020, where people can easily just connect via Zoom. I mean, you could do that. You could have done that before 2020, but it
Yeah.
became normal to do it.
I guess it might have paid off because they've got these investors who are basically bankrolling the company through 2024. Um, but I just remember I usually just tune out of those meetings, but over the summer they were talking about, oh, we're really hitting our stride, like this, like our greatest month yet. We've hit like $200,000 in sales this month, or we're finally turning profits.
You're
But yet they
fired.
cut everybody. Um,
The greatest month yet. You're all fired.
Yeah, and it was just I talked to people that morning. Like I deal with like the tech support people. They help me with troubleshooting people's equipment at home. And I sent the messages, and then like an hour later, they were just gone, just no warning. So they were probably still filling requests, because they're always backlogged. They had just bragged like they finally got enough people in this department. They've been understaffed for a year, and they hired new people, and then immediately fired all the people they hired a week ago. So it's like they're wasting money. Like training is usually pretty expensive, just going through the paperwork and everything. And even for a job that doesn't take that much to learn, just amount of time and the other people like HR are spending on them. So
Right.
yeah,
What a world, It's amazing how and then older generations wonder. You see it all the time, like the younger people, they don't have any loyalty to their workplace or whatever. Yeah, you came from like an age where like you stayed at a job for like 20 years, or
yeah,
like literally got a job straight out of college and then retired there. That doesn't happen anymore. And listen, I'm sure it doesn't happen anymore for a lot of different reasons. But I think there's got to be at least a decent portion of people out there who would love to find that job out of college and
yeah.
stay there till they retire. That's not me, but there are people who I'm sure would love to do that. And there really isn't that opportunity to do that anymore because employers don't have loyalty to their workers.
No, that's
Yeah.
why I really it's not a new thing, but that new term, quiet quitting. I try to sleep. The nice thing about working at home is you can get away with just like you spending half the day on the bathroom, taking naps. Um, every time a meeting comes on, just get on mute and play some video games.
Damn,
I try
man,
to waste
you
a
you
couple
tr-
hours watching Majority Report every day.
you trying to get
Take
fired
3 of
over
them.
here?
Yeah. Oh, apparently it didn't work because I made the cut, and they said they looked at our team and who got the most stuff done. But if you know how to stretch stuff out, in the early months, they give you a certain workload and you make it look like it takes a month long, and then it's actually like a week's worth of work. And then as they like get busier and
Why are you
stuff,
giving?
they think things take longer than they do. So
Why are
they
you
might
giving up?
increase my
Why are you
workload,
giving
but
it
I can get
all?
it done in a crunch and waste a lot of other time.
Why are you putting it all out there, man? You're really trying to screw yourself over.
They'll never find out. I don't think they watched anything. Like the only mention of politics is one time in one of our clinical meetings, someone's like, "I want Ron DeSantis to run for president," and they're like, "No politics, shut it down." I was like, "Good," because I don't want to. I don't want to get in fights with my coworkers, but I don't want to hear people bragging about DeSantis.
Right.
So
Right. Wow. I mean, listen, I hate that term "quiet quitting." By the way, when you said it, I'm not mad you said it. It's a good term to
yeah,
use because it's being used, but I hate it because
I just feel that's
back
slacking, I
back
guess.
in my, I mean, no, it's not even that. It's literally just doing your job.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Let me let you go. I need to take a
All right.
quick.
Thank you. Thanks
I
for the
need,
call.
I need to take a quick break for a second, folks. My child has woken up and she's crying, and I don't think her mom hears her. So give me just 2 seconds to go in there. I'll be right back. I promise. I'll play that cool Renee song that he made. Give me a second.
Ecological collapse, corporate fascism, corporate journalism, police brutality, voter suppression, austerity economics, education masses, rampant homophobia, armed strength.
We got our first caller.
What's up, Matt?
Hey,
You from Jamaica?
Dave from Jamaica. How are you doing, my friend? What are we going to talk about today? I don't think you are exactly what you claim you are. I would say you're a conservative. What makes you a liberal?
I'm pro-Green New Deal. Are you? Yes, really? Absolutely. Really? I have watched the show. I've seen you completely come out and get really mad at Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez for some of the things in the Green New Deal.
You mean like free college for black people?
All right. I am back. Thank you, everyone, for the patience. My daughter woke up, my 3-year-old, and must have had a bad dream because usually she just wakes up and comes out and goes into our bedroom, quietly goes into the bedroom. But it seems like she had a very bad dream and she's freaking out. Sorry about that. We are back, and I'll take calls again. I take calls via Skype at Doomed Live. Oh. Hey, what's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, Matt, this is Eric from LA.
Hey, Eric from LA. What would you like to talk about?
Well, hey, on Tuesday, I was hoping we were getting to the new Where We Go One, We Go All salute. Didn't even touch upon it.
Yeah. I'm still. Did I even? What was Tuesday's episode? I can't remember.
It was
anymore.
Hinkle. It was Hinkle and the MAGA
Oh,
communism.
right. See, I don't.
Yeah, Renee sidetracked us with the Ukraine.
Yeah, oh boy, that was I was not expecting that. Yeah, I mean, I did not get to that the QAnon thing. Listen, I never saw it before, and from various people I know who cover QAnon, they hadn't seen this before.
Yeah.
It was something that was just like done there, and then like retroactively QAnon seems to have called it their own. Very bizarre.
Well, I noticed Marjorie Taylor Greene, when she was at the podium, she was like, when she was talking about Trump being the one true leader, she kept lifting her hand up like that. You know what I mean? She kept doing it. So I was wondering if yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it's a thing before. I mean, maybe it was being done. I don't know, but that was something else. That was very cult-like. Yes, it was very weird.
A little bit, yeah. That's all I wanted to call about, man, because I was like stoked and I was like, oh my God, I can't wait to hear Matt's take on this. And then it was like fucking 45 minutes of Ukraine. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, no one asked me.
I love Renee, dude. Shout out to Renee.
no one asked me about it, honestly.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, I'm glad you did because I had totally forgotten to mention it. Yeah, there nothing.
That's
really...
your bread and butter, Matt. I mean, I was like, dude.
No. I gotta say,
on Tuesday.
I gotta say, I'm still. I feel like I'm still recovering from my summer.
Yeah. Sure.
I'm like the news cycle. Just if you miss something, I feel like nowadays you gotta like fully wait for it to end and a completely new news cycle to start for you to like get caught up completely.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm still like missing stuff. But I did see that, and it was just so bizarre. Like I don't even know. Honestly, I don't really know what to say about it because there's nothing there prior to that. And then like it's just like what? Where did they even know to do? I mean, I gotta assume just that maybe a few people did it and everyone started doing it with them.
Just sort of organically happened. Yeah.
Yeah, very weird, very
Uh,
weird.
Hey, there's another thing I want to ask you about that maybe other people know about. Like, I had like a really, I had like arguments with people, like lost a couple friends about this sort of like, I call it the like AOC horseshoe theory, where the right and the left meet at their hatred for AOC or whatever.
Very
Like
bizarre.
the,
Yes, I know what
yeah,
you're
isn't
talking
that
about.
weird?
I don't get like listen, you don't like her and you're on the left, that's fine. I get it. But to like make that part of who you are, very weird. Very
But it seems
weird.
to me like it was a very concerted like effort. And I want to like,
I
I'm
just think
thinking like,
I think there's a uh I mean the thing is ideologically they're all over the board, but there is a specific type of person. There's like a through line here of a very specific type of person who just wants to always be contrarian and against the grain because they think that makes them an independent thinker.
yeah,
I mean, it's a very bizarre way to go about things. I mean, if your
it
whole
seems to be,
point, it
yeah, I'm
doesn't
sorry to
like
interrupt. Go for
no,
it,
don't
man.
worry about it. Like it works in like maybe like in music if you want to be like listen to like a very specific type of music and be a super fan of it. Like I don't know, like grindcore for example, or like blast beat hardcore. It's like this music's never going to be mainstream. There's no way it'll ever
Yeah, yeah,
like be
yeah, yeah.
popular among the masses. If that's like if you're into that because it's like edgy and unique and to be like underground or hipster, like to be into, fine, that's, I get it. But for politics it makes zero sense because the whole
Right.
point is that you want everyone to get on board with what you believe, right? And eventually you even want the government to get on board with what you believe and actually pass, your politicians to actually pass laws, bills that basically give people what you advocate for. And if you're one of these
Right.
contrarian types, well, guess what? The second something you like starts to gain traction and get popular, what are you all of a sudden against it now? I mean, honestly,
But
I've seen that. I've seen that.
yeah. No, I get it from like just online kooks who are like kind of like new to politics or whatever, but I'm thinking like the gray zone crowd. Like I'm wondering when like Blumenthal like and I like him attaching himself to Jimmy Dore the way they did, you know what I mean? I've
Right.
definitely kind of fall into like conspiracy thinking, like full disclosure, but so I understand, but like that's where I thought like maybe I don't know, like Blumenthal was up to something. Like he I don't trust that dude. I used to follow the Gray Zone and just like some weird shit that I thought like what is he doing and like why, like what would be the point of that?
Right. Yeah. I mean, he went full blown anti vaxxer and he's
Well,
now,
he's like yeah, I mean he did a fucking
he's gone.
thing
Like,
here in LA
there's no
with Jimmy Dore.
yeah, there's no coming back from who he is now. I appreciate. I know Ben Norden left the gray zone specifically because
Yeah,
of,
yeah.
and like I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
that's, I
Fucking
think that was
yeah, that was
important
good
to do.
news.
I mean, I know we don't probably agree on everything, but I respected that because I thought that was the right thing to do because I knew he did not
Definitely.
agree with, um, you know, Max Blumenthal on those issues, and that's basically where it all went. I mean,
Yeah.
Aaron Mate, he did not leave. He is stood by Blumenthal.
That's a
And
bummer.
I mean,
To be honest with you, I really like Aaron. I'm sorry. Yeah. Go ahead, Matt.
no, I mean, I had him on this show. We don't agree on a lot,
You
but
had Aaron Mate on the
a
show?
long time ago, yes, on
Oh
Doomed,
wow, okay.
yes, because I thought he was downplaying Russia too much. I mean, I agreed with him in some
Yeah,
areas,
yeah.
but I thought he was completely downplaying it. And so we had a discussion about that. But I wouldn't place him in the same as Ben Norden, but I thought he was. I thought he would leave Grey's after the anti-vaxxer stuff when Norden left, but no, he is not, which means he doesn't have a problem with it. Because there's no way you stick around for something like that. Like, there's stuff you suck up and just like, whatever, it's not worth it. But that's something you leave over. And,
Yeah.
he's decided it's not that big of a deal, I guess.
Yeah, that's too bad. I really liked Aaron Mate. I thought he did some really good work. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a bummer. Anyways, Matt, thanks for taking my call, man. Love Doomed. Sorry it got bumped to Tuesday. There's this new show on Thursday that just took Doom's spot, but that's cool.
Yeah, I thought for a long time how to go about. Should I flip it? Is this the way to do it? And just randomly, it wasn't even at the end. It wasn't even like a decision that like I really planned out. I think just 1 week, I did Doomed on a Thursday, and then I was like, oh, I gotta do an episode of Doomed on a. I'm sure I did Scam Economy on a Thursday, and then I was like, oh, I need to do an episode of Doomed next week earlier, so because people are missing out on that show, and then that landed on Tuesday, and before you know it, I've somehow landed on this schedule. It just is what it is.
Hey, man, it works out for me, Matt. So if it works out for you, we're all happy.
Perfect, awesome. Thanks for the call. This
all right.
was great.
Yeah. Peace, man.
Take care.
Yep.
Bye. Got another caller. Let me take this call right now. Hey, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hello and welcome to the Scam Economy.
Hey, Spacco! It is the voice of the Scam Economy intro song, theme, I should say. Spacco, how are you, and what would you like to talk about?
I'm great, and I was going to talk about some of this last week, but you said move this exciting day on Friday afternoon in the evening. So
right. That last week, I think it was Tuesday, so it was just earlier this week. Right. I don't want to make it seem like I was like, I don't feel like talking to Spacco for a few days. Call next week, buddy.
Well, and I'm going to try and keep it from like going on and on. I do know that I have a tendency to do that. So
people love it though. So if you do and it's good, I'll let you. If you do that and it's not good, don't worry, I'll let you know. But people have enjoyed it thus far.
We'll cut it off. It's like, Sam, okay, gotta jump. So here's the thing: is I have been working on this project for on a piece for a while. And I reached the point where I don't know if people or activists have this sometimes, especially when things don't seem to be happening. Nothing's going to happen. And why bother writing this? What's the point? And then, boom, the thing that you were just talking about, writing about, that you think something should be done, another instance comes up. And so what I've been working on is talking about the threats to the people at the Boston Children's Hospital. Mm-hmm. And I had hang on a second. I'm getting kind of a weird echo. So I put together this plan and thinking from all these different areas that I've been involved in as an activist, as a corporate consultant, as a writer, and understanding that it's a massive project to deal with the threats of violence online from people. And one of the things that I have, and having been, a consultant, sometimes you get this, well, you know what you should do, which is kind of like the way that people always are. Hang on a second. Let me close.
Oh, you hear? I don't hear anything on my end, so I'm not sure.
You're not?
No,
okay.
So it's if it's not too bad for you, don't worry. No one else hears it.
Okay. Well, hang on. What? I might have. This might actually be your. I don't want to.
You might have another stream up, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah. Let me close the other stream so that I don't. I think I can close this without interrupting. Anyway, so the thing is, I had this idea of here's what you could do. And then there was a story just yesterday, and I don't know if you saw this, where Tucker Carlson gets on and he shows the photos of the executives of a hospital that has gender affirming care. Did you see that?
I didn't see that segment, but I know he's been doing this. Yes.
Right. So that's something that they did on. Hang on a second. I'm going to turn this down. So it was a specific thing, and I had just been working on this piece where I was identifying who the executives are at Boston Children's Hospital that I would write, and I'd say, here is the plan that you could be doing in order to deal with this particular issue. And even went so far as to, find them all on LinkedIn and, here's the area of expertise. Here's the IT person. Here's the person in charge of patient confidentiality. Here's the PR person. Here's the government affairs people. And I knew all of the people internally that would need to do this. And I would say to them, I have experience in dealing with this, but I also there's these 4 other groups of people that you should be working with in order to deal with this. And the problem is that in these kind of situations, law enforcement fails. The people who are in charge of even reporting on it, don't quite, get it. And so it comes down to this situation where the people who should be protecting the doctors, patients, the health staff, they aren't protected. They aren't protected via social media. They're not protected in person. And the way that they could do something, what happens is the burden falls on the victims, end up just quitting. And I know this from experience because I actually did a bunch of research about the people who got death threats during COVID. And I looked and talked to the 2 different people, who are the ones who are the city and county public health officials. And I asked them, so tell me the cases of people getting threats. What happens? And I find out that nothing happens. They take them to the police. If it's not a local threat, they don't do anything. If it's a national threat, then they definitely don't do anything. But also the hospitals themselves, they could be doing more to protect them, but they ended up, the people's like, I just don't want to deal with this. So they quit. There's this massive exodus. Okay. And I said, well, what could you do? And I made some suggestions to this group. It's the National Association of City and County Health Officials. I said, if you can't get them for criminal charges, track these people down and sue them for civil damages. And I think I've talked about this before. And I said, here's some examples. And I pointed to the Ruby Freeman Shea Moss case where they successfully won a multi-million-dollar case to about OAN, a media organization. So I'm thinking, so this is the kind of thing that Vanderbilt, which is the latest hospital that Tucker went after, he identified them, and they talked about this today on the Majority Report. Sam brought it up, and he had to make it so you don't show the names of the people or don't have Tucker saying them. But the problem is that when you look at Tucker, he's figured this stuff out. And this of mine, which is, I don't know how to, explain it to enough people in the right way. It's like going, you have to understand you're living in a total different environment. This is not Al Capone and busting him for taxes. This is even, Rico and busting Gotti for something. This is a, multi-connection behind the scenes and the kinds of threats they have. It's like, the vicious threats, there are multiple little, Gottis or Capones out there. And when nothing is being done, it works. And so, it's like you need a group of untouchables, somebody who understands the overall breadth of the components and understands that it's not just a legal thing. It's a PR thing. It's a technical thing. It's a rhetoric thing. I mean, it's like understanding, and this is another big part which is kind of upsetting me, and I don't quite know how to do it, which is the media and a lot of free speech activists get sucked into these arguments and these discussions where it ends up that they basically are letting people who are making serious death threats go because it might end up somehow chilling speech. And this is one of the other parts of my plan, which is you have to have an education component here, because you still have too many people who think that, well, they're just saying mean things to doctors. And actually, that was the argument that Tucker Carlson used. And the thing about these kinds of discussions, there's a whole group of people who are thinking about how I best avoid getting any kind of responsibility or accountability. And my thinking is, okay, let's learn from the most recent successful campaigns that have dealt with these situations. For example, if it's going after the trans community, what did we learn from shutting down Kiwi Farms? If it is the media spreading disinformation, what did we learn from the voting machine lawsuits? If it is about the death threats that Ruby Freeman got, let's look at that. Each one of these areas has some people behind it, but there isn't anybody like on the political side. Like if anybody came out on the political side and says, they'll say, we'll do something about violence, and say, okay, so what does that translate into with legislation? What does that mean? Now, there are some legislations that's there. I know what they are. I saw what some of them are. It's like in Colorado, there was a law that was passed that made it that doxing somebody in the public health field is a bigger crime, like a felony. But that's only in Colorado. All right. So somebody is in Nebraska making a death threat to somebody who's, in another state, like in Boston. You don't have that same kind of law to use. And then you've got people, and this is the other thing that I'm thinking about. And I almost feel like, having people, argue with me and to say, tell me the various different excuses that you've heard that people use to get away with saying something that is violent, and then teach them how free speech on one level. But then the other level is, okay, so what if you want to do something about that person? How would you go about doing something? Anything that you might suggest. Like, oh, well, here we could try this. There's a whole group of people, sometimes well-meaning and sometimes trolls, who are going, all right. So what you're saying is you want to shut up people who are criticizing you, or just all the libs of TikTok did was just put out what they said on their website. We're not the ones who said you should do something about that. We just put up what was on their website. It was somebody else who says, oh, that's terrible. That's mutilating children. We should do something about that. That is the part that is not being addressed, which is
also it's a
technically sophisticated, rhetorically sophisticated mindset.
When they say that it's a lie,
you have to
too.
figure out a way, if you want to bust those people, if you want to stop that, you have to figure out a deeper level, because they're not stupid enough. I mean, are they more cunning, as I think the word is, to avoid being caught? They'll use journalism, they'll use it was a joke, and then they'll use, and here's something that I've talked about last week. I think I said to somebody, look up Alonis versus United States of America. And they're like, what? It is the case that is used by the Supreme Court to decide if something, it was on Facebook, was a true threat. And the lower cases said that these were threats. But the guy took it all the way up to the Supreme Court and he had it reversed. What he was doing, he was threatening his wife's life on Facebook. But he said, I'm just using rap lyrics. Those are just, I'm a rapper, okay? And you guys, you have rappers all the time saying, you know, F the police and yeah, blah, blah. You don't know this. And what they ruled was you not only was the words, but you had to prove intent. Now, that, and you probably heard this a lot with Trump, which is, you know, oh, you got to prove intent, blah, blah, blah. Well, what happens is instead of people trying to prove intent, instead of this, and this is something that we found in the research and the reporting from Reuters, we found it reporting from Carol Leonnig, and I've seen it as well, which is law enforcement dismissed it. I have personal friends who've taken cases to law enforcement, they took it to FBI, and they basically say it's probably First Amendment, it's probably free speech. We don't really. They're not local. They didn't say specifically how we're going to blow your brains out. They just said vaguely, you better watch what you say. And this is the mob speak, So, and I don't even want to, describe all the various techniques and methods and things like that in the article that I'm writing, because I feel like, whoa, they'll come after me. I want to educate a certain group of people to say, if you want to bust these people, there's a lot of people who don't. I mean, frankly, Boston Children's Hospital, these people, they could, if they wanted to, and they were smart, organize and find all these people, put a group together, get some private investigators, civil lawsuits, work with the Department of Justice. They could have, but they're not going to, because it's the same thing that I saw within the they hope it's somebody else will deal with it. And the sad thing is there's a lot of people who will they want someone else to do it. They want the tech bros to do it, or they want somebody else to do it, because it's going to have to deal with some specific games that are being played, linguistic games. And also, frankly, they're right. The same techniques that I would use to find, prosecute, and punish the people who are doing these kinds of things, they flip them around and they use them on us. I mean, this is the Trump model. You come after us, we're going to double down and go after you twice as hard. So in order to deal with this, I say, look at what the Department of Justice has been doing right now on the January 6th and on these cases with the documents that Trump stole. Each time that it looks like, oh, they're going to do this and you can't do this, you turn around and you anticipate this is how they will respond if I do this. So, for example, if I track down a bunch of these people, and I've got a case like in the St. Luke's Hospital that's located in Idaho, where they had a behind-the-scenes coordinated campaign to terrorize and threaten the people who worked at this hospital. Now, I suggested to one of the groups that I was working with, don't just look at the criminal case, figure out if there's a civil case, because there's money behind this. And Ammon Bundy, his organization, he's got, Bundy for governor, and another group called, Freedom Man or something like that. It's a PAC. They have money and they coordinate this behind the scenes. So go after that. Well, I called the lawyer who put this together. I said, hey, what's the status of it? They're pulling the exact same crap that Trump did. He has not shown up for his cases, his depositions, whatever. And he's turned it around as like, hey, I'm the victim here. I'm just pointing out that these poor kids are in the hospital. So, so I the part of me that's the activist and wants to organize, I want to do it, but at the same time, I get, I want to, tell people, if you try to do this, you got to prepare for these kinds of pushback. And if you're clever, more clever than they are, because they're clever and they're cunning, you use their aggressive, their doubling down, their hubris against them, and then you nail them. And when they cry, you say, hey, I gave you an opportunity. I offered you to opportunity to stop doing it. And you said, no, I really meant to do that. Well, by doing that, you do two things. One, if you are the kind of person who says, accidentally, I really would like to kill him, I like that, and you wrote that on Facebook, Facebook algorithms pulls it out. Now, they are very clever, and they could figure out, oh, I'm going to target you for saying that. Now, you can go to Facebook and say, look, it was out of context, it was hyperbole, whatever, and you might win the case, or they'll just throw you in Facebook jail. But if we are in that same situation and you hear them saying this, we're going to do this, you have in a situation where they're being vague on purpose. They're using mob speak. And you could engage them and say, hey, you're joking, right? You really, you don't really intend to, do this. You damn well bet I mean it. And you capture all that. And then you don't go to the criminal case. You go to their boss. You go to their family. You go to the church and say, hey, look, I thought this guy, he said maybe he was joking and maybe I misunderstood, but here is him saying exactly what he wanted to do to kill me. Now, he said, well, I didn't actually kill anybody. Hey, the threat is the crime. All right. Now, and then after you get him fired, you have to prepare for him and his buddies decide like, yeah, bitch, she got me fired. She's really gonna come in for me. I'm gonna get my gun and I'm gonna show up at her house because it's legal to have a gun and show up at somebody's house. And I don't really have any problem. I'm not brandishing it. It's all totally legal. Well, video cameras gathering all that data, because guess what? There are sometimes people who think that it is legal to do certain things, but it's not. And you build another case. All these things that I'm saying, that's exactly what happened in Idaho. And it sounds like it's kind of crazy, but you could put all those pieces together and make a case that would use their overreactions to do it. But, who's going to do it? It's hard. Okay. And every time I hear these, Chris Hayes, I love Chris Hayes, those people like that. But, I hear them talk about, violence and mobs, things like that. Well, why doesn't people do something about it? Because it's just easier to hope it goes away. And contrary to public, thinking, this is not schoolyard bullies anymore. I mean, these are, in some cases, very organized, coordinated harassment. And, I could tell the hospitals, I say, hey, if you want to not talk about, losing your doctors and being feared for their life, but, you're a multi-million-dollar healthcare business. And these threats of violence are hurting your bottom line. It's hurting your employees. Okay. If you want to do something about it, you've got to go after these people. You can't hope that, somebody else is going to do it. And you could get maybe the low level people, but I said, now look at, again, the January 6th thing. The low-level people, the thugs, the woman who got caught for bombing, the people who were in for the bomb threat in Boston Children's Hospital. There were 2 bomb threats. Only one of them was caught. They probably have lots of other recorded calls. Now would be the time to start investigating each and every one of them and find out what is the coordination. How did they hear about this? What did they do about it? And if you want to go up to libs of TikTok, or you want to go up to Tucker Carlson, you need a different strategy because they're too clever. All right. So you figure out another strategy and you don't necessarily telegraph it. All right. But you keep gathering that data. And for example, I learned this from Glenn Kirshner, is that there's all sorts of threats to people who are witnesses, witness tampering. Now, the DOJ, there's a lot of things they can do when they hear about witness tampering. One of the big ones is they do something called a recorded callback. The person says, I'm going to get you. And the DOJ has somebody come in and they sit there and record it and they coach you to get them to talk. And so they start revealing more and more information as it comes out. And they don't realize it's all being recorded. Now, the DOJ doesn't necessarily tell people that this had happened, okay? So more people getting threats, then more people like that. And then they got enough to show that they really had done this, all right? And they find out that there are 4 people who made the calls, and it all happened because they had, Donald Trump said, make a call, tell him that he'd be wise to not do anything, all right?
Right.
Then you've got a conspiracy. It's a civil conspiracy. Would anybody think like this? You need to, because they think like the mob, they act like the mob, and the techniques to go after them have to be using some of the same things. And do not think that they're stupid. Do not think that, there's some dumb people, but they're sophisticated and they know what works. And we have to be just as smart and smarter because they play on our own, concerns and weaknesses. So that's kind of the things that I wanted to do to people, to tell people. But somebody said, well, why don't you do, how do you tell these people? It's like, I give a PowerPoint presentation to them, tell them all this. And they go, yeah, Spacco. Okay. Yeah. We're going to really pay attention to you. It's like, I could tell you about my real, life and how I've caused people $100 million, but like, we got serious adult people who are going to deal with this. It's like, if you really cared about this, you really want to do something about it, you could, but they're still afraid. So it's still working.
Spacco, you are on fire as usual. Yeah, a lot of I think obviously there's the side of, oh boy, I'm hearing feedback. Let me let you go and then I'll address, because I'm hearing myself in your thing. Thanks for the call. Always a pleasure, Spacco.
All right.
Absolutely. I think what's going on a lot of times is that these companies are completely unequipped to deal with this sort of stuff. Even like news publishers, where you think they would be on the cutting edge of these sorts of online dog piles or harassment campaigns, or even just how threats go online, and sort of you think they'd be able to tell what is just legitimate and what's not, what's just someone being an a-hole. A lot of times they are completely unequipped to even deal with this stuff at all, let alone companies who don't have to, face this type of stuff on a regular basis. I just don't think they care to really. I don't know. I can't answer honestly, besides what I think, and I think they just don't. It just doesn't connect with them to really look into the issue and care for this. They probably do like a cost benefit analysis. How often do these actually come to fruition? And they probably think it's not enough. But also, I think when it comes to what we're seeing right now, first of all, it's bad. It's bad. The problem, though, is that the internet is still this degree of separation for a lot of people that aren't online, like probably all of you listening to this show on a regular basis. And people who don't live and work online still have this disconnect where there's stuff that happens online, it's not real, and then there is in real life. If something's happening online, just turn off your computer and walk away from it. I guess you used to be able to do that, and that was a legitimate response. But not really anymore. Like that whole IRL thing is kind of old-fashioned now. Because what happens online is real life. People live and work online. Sometimes more so than they do offline. And what happens online affects people in the real world. You can lose your job for something you do online. You can find love due to something you do online. You can lose your life due to something that begins online. I mean, there isn't that line between the two anymore. I mean, frankly, there hasn't been for some time, but I think perhaps we are now at the point where enough people have come to that realization because enough people are spending that much time online. Let me take this call. Got a caller. Hey, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
My name is Sherman Brown. I'm from Ohio.
Hey, Sherman, could I bring your video up on the feed?
Yeah, I don't care.
Perfect. Hey, Sherman, are you the person who dropped the super chat earlier?
Yes, I am.
Thank you so much, Sherman. Really appreciate that. What would you like to talk about?
I'm actually going to talk about a recycling company that I own in Ohio.
Good. Ladies and gentlemen,
Yes.
sitting before you, standing before you, talking before you right now, a real life entrepreneur.
Yeah, the reason I called is because I own a recycling company in Jackson, Ohio. I'm going to be very specific about it because it's a small town, so if anybody does happen to see this, I hope they see it. So, I really
You want to name? You want to drop the name of your company? It's totally up to you.
it's Cross and Recycling. I didn't want to do that because I didn't know if you wanted that kind of thing.
Oh no, you could.
brought it
No,
up.
go ahead. So, what would you like to say about it? What is the company called? Cross, and Recycling. Crossin. How does that
Yes,
spell?
like crossing the street, but without the G on
crossing.
the end.
Oh, okay. Crossin Recycling. Wait, does that have the
Yes,
G on
in
the
Jackson,
end?
Ohio.
Oh my God!
No,
look at
no
that.
G, no G.
Okay, got it. I gotta say, Google autofilled and let me know.
Yeah, I don't really have the best relationship with Google. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Well, go ahead. What would you like to say about it?
Well, the reason I was gonna call in is because I'm actually really, whenever Donald Trump first got elected, I was really affected by the things he did immediately. Wheel tariffs and the aluminum tariffs. So I'm actually calling about that because I've recently been not affected by that. And how I wanted to bring up an economy that things normally go. I am probably the biggest reverse economy you've ever met. When I say reverse economy is whenever the normal person does bad is when I do my best. I started this business in 2017, and every year I've probably quadrupled in money. And
so basically, what do people?
And I also want to tell you this: the first year and a half that I did it, it was me and my uncle in one truck, and I went to every business in Ohio. I bought one thing from them, and I sold it to one company for roughly about a year and a half, 2 years, and that's how I made my money. Because I bought one product off of a bunch of companies. I had a bunch of one product, and I could sell it to one smelter, call it. And you can make more money that way by doing that. So I really got involved in that economy really quickly, and that escalated into me then in my own place. So I then went from to being a guy that was just doing something in Jackson, Ohio. And so then I got to know other things because I had hit up people for batteries or, hazardous material or stuff like that. So I got to know other foundries. And so I'm now entwined in probably 7 different foundries and one major company that I would not like to name, but I'm sure if they see this, they'll know me because I have red hair. But
What? So,
they
just so people know what you
yeah.
do, like more specifically. I'm assuming based on what you're saying, like what people sell you their like scrap metal and stuff like that.
Yes, I am the guy that if you were to pick up a road, or you're an excavator company that like destroys buildings and you get the metal from those buildings, bring it to me, I then process that material and sell it to a foundry. That way, a foundry melts it down.
What is processing the
and makes
material?
Make sure it can go into a furnace.
Oh, how do you do that? How do you check for that?
If a metal has rubber on it or contaminants like a grease, like out of grease fittings, like for excavator tracks or for bigger equipment like motors or stuff like that, you would have to remove that pre-hand. That would involve a shredder, which is why most companies that are in my position sell to a shredder as opposed to a smelter, because they would have to process their material pre-hand. And that's what a shredder can just smash up your material into a bunch of pieces and go into what they call an eddy current. An eddy current is something advanced in a processing of recycling, where it aggregates certain material using certain magnetic frequencies. And it can actually do things that aren't magnetic, because only ferrous materials are magnetic. They can do certain things to where it shakes, and it'll separate your brass from your copper and your aluminum as it goes through. And that gets you what they call Zorba, and that is what they sell overseas. But the company I sell to is actually a USA dealer. They only sell to USA people. So that is probably one of my biggest accomplishments, because it's hard to find that.
Right.
It's very difficult to find that.
I'm assuming it's just a job like running a business like this. Do you need like I'm assuming you have like a lot of space. Like do people bring you like their cars and stuff like that? I'm assuming.
Actually, the number one thing, other than maybe McDonald's, I would say scrap is probably, or maybe outside of farming, agriculture, and McDonald's. Realty is probably the major thing for scrap.
Wow.
Because you've got to have a lot of land. Having a lot of land is a major thing.
I would say, I guess. So wait, when business is booming, when people are going out of their way to sell their old shit that they were keeping in the home for all those years, and finally decided they needed the money to get rid, like they needed the money, so they get rid of it.
Yes, that is that's what I call excavation work, or renovation. That is probably a large factor. Probably, you just probably named 75 to 80% of my work.
Right.
But
also, I guess if
things that are
right. But also, I mean, I guess if someone's also destroying their or getting rid of their stuff, it could be because they're doing renovation, and that usually means they're doing good. It doesn't necessarily, you're not going, renovating the home.
That's true.
Or so it could go either way. Yeah. Well, that's
a lot of them are repeat customers. The reason I brought this up is because I wanted to talk about how there are these reverse economies. I wanted to bring it back. I didn't want to just rant, to be honest with you. I'm actually a reverse economy. That's what I don't know if that's an actual name for something, but I feel like that is me.
So how would you describe a reverse economy?
Okay. When I say reverse, I mean specifically to people that I'm around most of the time. I am in a small town, rural town. Probably 80% of them voted for Trump, I would say. Even my dad voted for Trump. But he did at the time.
Oh, wait, hold on. Now you really got me interested here now. Why did he vote for Trump the first time, and why does he regret it now? I mean, I'd be interested to see what his viewpoint is.
Oh, he's very simple. Business. He voted for Trump because of business, realized he was a shit talker, and then he voted for who was that billionaire that joined the Democratic race right at the end?
Michael Bloomberg?
Yes.
He voted for
Michael
voted for
Bloomberg. Yes.
What does your dad do for a living, if you don't mind me asking?
My dad My dad retired from the scrap business, the same business I am in,
Why would
in
he?
2003.
There's a disconnect here. Like, why? For me, at least, like I wouldn't view Michael Bloomberg as someone particularly appealing to a scrap metal salesman because Michael Bloomberg works in is a suit working in a big office, sitting at a desk, and you and your dad, you're doing blue collar work. To me, that's I don't think Michael Bloomberg is obviously a success, but I don't look at him as someone knowledgeable of business or what would make things good from the governmental standpoint in general, just because of that. That's just interesting how people think. I mean, obviously, that's what people like your dad is who he was going for, and there are people who think that way. That this guy was a success with what he did, so he probably knows how to make everything work like that. I don't think that way. I don't think that's correct.
I definitely do not understand a man who came from a guy. I just tell you, my dad is a Marine veteran. His dad, scrap business depression. He cashed out an insurance policy and started a scrap business. And when my dad got back from, he joined my grandpa's scrap business, and so they built that up from nothing. And I don't understand the connect to them, but for some reason he's just a businessman. If you talk about business first and foremost, he will vote for you.
Wow. I mean, does he have invest?
Yeah.
Does he invest? Is that? Excuse me. Does he invest? Is that why?
I mean, yeah.
Is he investing?
I mean, he's basically all
investing
over the place.
crypto?
He's so his investments are like sparse because he feels like he's lived a good life. So it's really like he does random things and then just basically he does whatever he wants. And I'm completely separate from him. He gave me a truck whenever I was 18 and a pole barn, and that's what I tried business. So I got lucky. I'm very privileged in that spot, but yeah.
No, I just think that's fascinating. I know.
Definitely.
I know you've been trying to tell me you've been trying to tell me why you called in for, and I keep getting you off track.
I just want to make sure that I'm not the one that's getting sidetracked.
No.
If we get sidetracked, I don't care about that. I just don't want to be the one responsible for it.
Listen, the fun thing about this being my show is that I can let you do whatever you want, and I think this conversation has been really interesting. So go ahead. Now that I know that your dad is a big Michael Bloomberg fan,
Yes.
tell me about the reverse economy.
I feel that it is weird that I don't want to say underbelly, but it being that way because I end up seeing the most tweakers from any, most downtrodden from anybody, the most underprivileged of anybody within a 50-mile radius because they will travel. I'm telling you right now, these people will travel to get rid of their most prized possessions because they're made of copper or brass or aluminum. And I don't have fun doing that. The major thing that made it, I've actually I've been watching you for a minute, and I felt like you were really down to earth, so that's why I called here. Is I have a brass, it's a big brass cemetery plate of a guy's from his cemetery, and when a guy brought that into me, and I could legally. Very somber. I'm just going to be honest with you. I was not a fan of being able to buy that legally. So I found the family and I gave it to them. And ever since then, I was like, I got to talk about this. Like, this has to be something that is.
I want to make sure I understand what's going on here. So someone brought you. What are we talking about? Because I don't think I could. I'm picturing what
a brass placard from a cemetery that represented a guy, and I gave it back to them.
Like a
this thing was worth
gravestone?
$400. Yeah, but not necessarily, because a gravestone, they're not usually made out of brass. It's a base plate for like a representation of a gravestone. It's hard for me to explain this because I don't exactly know where it came from, but yeah.
I'm trying to. I want to see. I want to see. Oh, hold on. Let's see.
I just know that I could buy it.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Okay, I looked it up. It's like that thing that, like, if you've ever been to a cemetery and instead of like the old fashioned, like, above the ground rock or whatever it is, tombstone, it is like those little like square sign or rectangular signs that are like directly in the ground, like flat on the ground. Yeah, okay, I know what you're talking about. So someone brought this in.
Yes, exactly.
So someone brought this into you and sold it to you, and
legally.
Did their last? What do you mean when you say legally? What made it legal?
There is a very specific. I don't know if other states are like this, but in Ohio, there's a very specific code to scrapping because of theft, because of how much scrap is worth, and I actually am very involved with Homeland Security because of this. So, like, they know everything about me because I started this business.
So what made it so? But it seems like you had questions about how this person got their hands on it, being that I'm assuming they weren't their last name didn't match. They're not a groundskeeper.
Yeah,
right?
So even if their last name matched, well, why are you giving it to me?
Right. So you bought it and found the family. I'm guessing the people who did have the same last name. And...
Yeah, we're not the same people.
Right.
Yeah, they were. It was a. I mean, I don't even think they could prosecute because I talked to them about it. I was like, I have a receipt that showed that this man could be, but I don't want to get too far out from the weeds. This was just an example of something extreme that really turned my tide of like why I was like, it's so funny how the worst of people can be the best for me.
Right.
And how people make money, even though I'm not a bad guy, like it's not, and put out a sign like, are you really desperate? Come to me and sell your stuff. I just naturally get those kind of things, and my economy is strictly based off of basically the worst in people.
I honestly find it fascinating, sort of how you're actually like, you look at what you do. Like, I feel like it's not like you're running like, I don't know, like a check cashing place or a pawn shop where like those businesses take advantage of people who are poor. Like, you basically just trade cash for items. I mean, I think that's a fair trade. I don't think that's really taking advantage of anyone. There are plenty of people out there who just have junk and want to sell it and think, why do I even have this in my home?
That's a huge percentage.
Yeah.
Like, if 90% of the people came across me I felt sketchy about, I'd probably close up shop. It's a big enough percentage for me to be like, this, like, here's what I'll say. If you were to make lives better for the general human, my business would be 30% less. My industry, not my business. My industry.
Right.
Like the scrap industry, if people were generally, if the left had their way, is what I'll say, you would generally have less people that just needed to get rid of their fridge to people like me.
Right.
They would do it the more authentic way, where like the Maytag guy takes it and decompresses it and does it the right way. But usually when it comes to a scrapyard like me, they just snip the line and that goes to the zone. And I know a lot about scrapyard stuff, so like I'm more than willing to talk about that. But that lines to certain things like AC units or refrigerators that have contaminants in them, and you will snip them and just expose those things to the air, because nobody that's picking up a refrigerator free off the side of the road is going to properly dispose of refrigerant. It's not going to happen.
Right.
They don't have it. That's why they're bringing it to me, so they can afford their cigarettes and pop for the day.
I mean, I think like I think it's again I know you're bringing up like some of these use cases, but hey, some people I mean I think it's a fair thing to do. I don't think there's anything wrong with. I mean I know what you said, like
No,
people.
I'm more concerned about the aspect. The consumer aspect, you can't expect a person who's scrapping to pay to do that.
Right.
Like, in what other sector do you someone to do a recyclable thing for money? Like, that's it just doesn't make sense to me. So they put it on the person. Like, this is these major corporations that could easily afford to do it and do it still put signs on the front like you have to dispose of your, like, they're gonna do
Right.
That's just another example of the reverse economy. So
Right.
sorry.
No, I thought this was a fantastic call. This is very interesting. I think that anyone who works in a job or has a business where they sort of see this sort of thing like you do, I think has a much more grounded, or I should say on a regular, sees something like a regular basis, has a much more grounded, realistic vision of just how bad it is out there for some people. I mean, you probably might think, maybe because you see so much of it, maybe you have a skewed vision a little bit, but you definitely get to see how some people are, have to do this for a living. But I also think that, especially with this specific sort of business, unlike, like I mentioned as an example, like pawn shop or a cash checking place, I think it's like there's legitimate space for people who like, hey, it's better that it gets recycled, honestly, than someone just like leaving it on the side of the road and no one being able to do anything with it,
Mm-hmm. I definitely agree with that. It's better to do something with it than not. The only caveat that I will give to that is life. And if we do not address life of certain things and how those matter, that you will probably always have people like me that take advantage of that. So even though I don't think I'm doing it the wrong way, I definitely know there 5% of the people I meet that I would consider good people in life that do the bad thing business-wise.
I hear you.
So
I hear you. Thanks a lot for the call, Sherman.
Definitely.
This was fantastic. Please call in again. We hear more stories. And don't be so hard on yourself.
I appreciate that. I'm in a weird sector, so
I think actually, it's. I think you'll go far in this business because you probably look at it in a very different way than others. And I think people who go to you will probably see that, and feel much more comfortable going to you than they would going to someone who's trying to, get as much out of them as possible.
Yeah, that's probably true. I did come into a even though I have a small town, I did come into a industry that had 3 other people doing it in my town, which is pretty big for a lot of competition for a town that's only like 7,000 people. So I did pretty well considering that. So I feel like I got something going for me.
Damn,
I can keep that going.
7,000 people in your town. They must have a lot of scrap.
Yes, it is. I'm in Ohio, basically West Virginia. So if that tells you anything, tell of mine, they are very underprivileged, my man. I'll just tell you that.
I hear you. I got a lot of you get like a lot of rusty metal from like I don't know from like workshops and cars and tool sheds and things like that.
100%. Out of the 8 people that I would consider really good friends, 2 of them got on meth, 2 of them found God, 2 of them went into factories, and the other 2 do God knows what.
Got it. Yeah.
It's very divided between the vices.
Right. Yeah. I hear you. Let's definitely if you'd like to call in again, and I have more questions to ask you, but I don't want to load you up right now. So we'll have to save this for another day.
Yeah.
Take care.
Definitely,
Sherman.
I will definitely call back in. Yeah, appreciate
Awesome. Have a great night and very cool PC behind you, by the way. Take care.
it. I appreciate it. I'll see you.
All right. What time is it? Oh. How many more people are calling? Let's see. I'll take two more calls. Two more calls. Hey, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Matt, it's Olaf from New York City.
Hey, Olaf.
Brooklyn, baby.
Long time no see. How's everything going, my friend?
Oh yeah, it's lagging a bit. Let me not move too much. Yeah.
Are you in a boiler room?
Yeah, I'm in a boiler room.
I was not being. I was joking, but.
I'm in a boiler room.
Why are you in a boiler room?
So I'm in my basement. I'm trying to organize some stuff. I'm listening to the stream. I also have a game night with my friends, so I'm trying to hurry up and then I'll listen to the stream also. Two things, just two things.
Is the friend you're playing games with Mankind from the WWE? I recall he lived in the boiler room.
No, we're just gonna play some random like games online. But for the previous caller, I'm actually gonna be a beneficiary of like the scrap market because we're gonna have to like dispose of one of these boilers here. I would move to show you the actual boiler from outside that we're scrapping, but it's I will lose like the connection over here. So we're scrapping one of these because it actually like messed up and busted one night. And luckily I came because no one would have known, and it would have been like people without hot water for like weeks if I didn't come down here and found this whole room flooded. And then two, you actually are about to cross 1 million views on one of your videos, and I'm very surprised.
Wait, what?
I'm stunned.
What?
I'm stunned. You're so close. It's gonna be a couple more thousand, but you're gonna
Which
be
video?
there. I am so stunned that you were. I didn't know that you had such artistic like. Oh my god, it's crazy, bro.
What are you talking about?
I didn't know that you helped Apple in one of their commercials when they were like making Siri.
Oh, you saw that. Now that's it.
It is so amazing.
That's a parody. That's a parody.
Like I just saw the video randomly, like douchebag Siri.
Yeah, that went viral years and years. How old is that? Jeez, it's like 10 years old. Wow. Yeah, that went viral years ago.
I stumbled upon it today. I was like, what's this? I was like, why is this on Matt channel? I was like, what is this? And the Siri's just a fucking jerk the whole entire time.
Yeah, I should do more stuff that's random because it seems like that went viral and none of my other videos go viral. So maybe I should do more shit like that.
If you make that a short, it will probably go viral again.
But people don't remember that commercial now at this point. It was all over the TV when I made that. It was like they were constantly playing that commercial, and I was like, all right, I gotta like mock it because this is getting ridiculous.
Like I was like, what's going on? Like he's like talking to Siri the whole. It's like, hey Siri, can you help me with this thing? He's like, Siri's like, no. And then like he's like, hey Siri, can you tell my friends we're gonna go to the garage like Siri's like. The garage. Wait, I hope that's the name of a club. Like,
oh yeah. I mean, it was when Siri was new. The ad was everywhere. I just had to do something with it. It just seemed like such an easy, slam dunk, and I guess it was.
But like that just caught me off guard throughout the whole like politics that I've been like listening to, and like the whole like drama on Twitch that's happening nowadays.
And this is
people
how. This is how you know I'm a really savvy businessman, because I did that video 10 years ago. It got almost 1 million views. And instead of following it up with more comedy videos, I said, I'm making a politics channel.
Well, you left the game before you even started, so like.
Yeah, well,
but that's it. I wanted to keep it really short and like just point that out. And if anybody wants to watch that, like it's like 30 seconds. Come on, just help Bender like cross that finish line and make it a cool million.
Yeah, get me that million views that I didn't get nothing from because it wasn't monetized because my channel wasn't monetized then, if you can believe it.
Shit.
That would have made
All right,
that would
bro.
have made that probably would have made it what, like I don't know how much a million videos is worth anymore, but a million views I should say is worth anymore. But what, I gotta have been at least $1,000, if not way more.
Probably made a decent amount of money back then.
Yeah.
Decent amount.
Yeah. All right. Thanks a lot, Olaf. Always a pleasure to hear from you. Don't be a stranger for so long. You've been so.
Hey, I sometimes I just watch the stream like, hey, yeah, these people got something more important to say, and like plus like, hey, there's a lot of people who wanted to call. Y'all probably like backing up the line right now, so let me get out the way.
No, you don't gotta feel like that, and definitely call in if you're ever in a boiler room again because.
The boiler
quality
room
quality has been fantastic.
If I ship out it, I will lose service. It's my basement, so like as soon as I go out, like I might lose service. I might drop a bit. Remember when I was on the stairs? I was talking and it just like completely went out.
Right.
Yeah.
Take care, my friend. Have a good night. All right, let's take this this one more call right here. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Matt, this is John.
Hey, John. How are you? Where are you calling from, by the way?
I'm calling from Seattle.
Hey, John from Seattle. What would you like to talk about?
I actually just had a recommendation. If I found by chance a video of Walter Block saying why he thinks it's basically his idea of libertarianism versus social biology.
What? What?
Yeah. So if you YouTube,
what does
I think
that even
it's
mean? What does that even mean?
I can send a link on Skype. It's like 8 minutes long, but I think your audience would absolutely love it. So I just sent the link to you.
I'm probably gonna save this for Tuesday stream, so we have something to watch. But yeah, this is. I'll have to check this out because I honestly, from your description of it, I have no idea what I'd be getting myself into.
Oh, it's a whole hot mess of things, including 50-year-old women and how Friedman slipped and died in a bathtub and being afraid of snakes.
50-year-old women from a libertarian? That's probably
it gets a little twisted.
Probably about at least 35 years too old.
Yeah.
Oh my God! I'll have to check this out. Also, my guest on Scam Economy earlier, Domingo Flores, he sent me a video. President Bukele of El Salvador apparently was on Tucker Carlson the other night. I have to pull that video up, but probably to save that for Tuesday too, because we're already almost at the 2-hour mark here. Was there anything else that you wanted to talk about, John?
Yeah, just a quick thing. So I work for a really large grocery chain, and they're going to be implementing the metaverse technology, and they're doing it like before Walmart. I'm on the West Coast, obviously. I have branches all over. I won't say directly which one. But it's interesting because they're trying to like replicate grocery shopping in like video game form. So you get a virtual cart, you go to virtual aisles, you pick up virtual products and like go through a virtual checkout. And then the orders get sent to like our delivery department, and then you can come pick them up delivered to you. And this is what they want to do instead of like giving us pay raises or installing new
Yeah, I don't understand. Like, I really don't get why people think this is going to be a thing. Like, listen, online shopping, of course, huge thing. I love it. Everyone loves it. You go, you instead of having to walk through a store, going aisle to aisle, trying to find what you want, you go to their website, literally type in the search bar for what you want, and if they got it, it comes up. Why you would want to replicate the annoying going to the store and having to search aisle by aisle for something online is beyond me. Like, we fixed that issue, and now they
Well,
want to replicate
they
the annoying
had
part.
they had a whole PowerPoint with it, and basically the summary of it was to drum up like, new ways of getting in touch with males like you and me. I'm 35. I was born in 87, and then also reaching Gen X, and then they even had a. So this is like a long-term plan, tens of millions of dollars involved in it.
Gen Alpha. Well, it's good to know that my son is an alpha. I mean, this is, I don't think any of this stuff's gonna take off. It's not even new. That's the weird thing. Like, this stuff's been around. Like, Second Life has been a thing. Minecraft, Roblox.
Oh my god, those are the examples I was used with Second Life.
Right, and like, it's been around. Like, it has a niche like following, a fan base, and I get it from a standpoint of like fun and games and enjoyment, but in terms of like doing this stuff for I don't know, chores or errands. No, people don't want to do this. They don't want to log in as like an avatar and walk through an online store. They want to open up a website, type in what they want, and buy it immediately.
Yeah. They had a breakdown of some of the competition trends among like similar companies, and it was talking about how they're already like starting to patent the technology, and then they were discussing the methods of like trying to get people to buy into specific types of headsets and of course NFTs, which is the main reason I had to call and talk about it a bit.
Oh, they're doing NFTs?
Oh, they're going hardcore NFTs, cryptocurrencies. They're trying to like hook the next like our generation and the next two into just mundane grocery shopping.
Cryptocurrency? Has this stuff been announced publicly?
I don't know. I found the link totally by accident. I was just trying to write the schedule for my department. And I scrolled a little too far, and there was just one thing that sounded like all the training materials and the promotional stuff. I haven't received anything
would you
at
wanna,
store level.
Would you want to send me this stuff? Or I understand if you wouldn't want to, but would you?
No, totally fine by me.
Yeah, because I would love to look into it and possibly, obviously, cover it, but without having to out you in any way.
The union I'm a part of is the largest in the state, one of the largest in the United States. So it might trigger something where this could be like leverage for it, because like they did a thing having to do with corporate labeling where they like red circle, which like out as a certain pay. So in my department, they took one of my employees and they department and added this red label to them. So they didn't get the $2 pay raise. That was, and there was no announcement for any of this.
Would you want to drop the name of the company in the chat? No one will see it on the feed, but I want to see if this has already been.
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah, go ahead. I'll search it, and again, I won't say anything yet. I want to see if this was already out there, because if not, this is interesting.
Yeah. Well, and I'm tiny, like I'm low level, like at store in your grocery neighborhood or your neighborhood.
Right. Oh, and they let you even like just like the local grocery employee access this stuff. That's interesting.
Yeah, they have all this set up as they're like the IT tech, and we've been bleeding people so much, but they're trying to like, of course, get as much revenue as possible. Not.
I've never heard of this company. That's the name of the.
That was the labeling they put on it. I just dropped the name of the company.
Oh! I see. Oh.
Just so you know what. Yeah, to Google.
Oh right. Are they? Let's see if this has been announced.
There's a part of the company called. Just drop that too. It might pop up. I don't know.
Let me
But
see.
it's one of the largest parts of the thing.
Oh, this is All right, because I don't want to say anything on air that will get you, So let's.
Yeah, no, that's fine. We can take this offline.
Was the link you saw, was the page you went to, was that an internal network, or is that a publicly available URL that they don't want people to see?
No, it was on our employee login.
Okay. All right. Definitely reach out to me. I don't see anything.
Okay. All right.
It seems like the company did do some testing a couple years back with that Bitcoin reward app, Lolly.
Oh, that's interesting. We didn't see that come down.
This is from years ago now. They might have stopped
I've been
doing
with
it.
the company for 13 years. I'm a millennial.
They might have stopped doing it then. That's interesting. Or maybe it was just a small test in certain areas.
That could be.
Yeah, definitely. I'm gonna look more into this. Send me more stuff. Send me more information, and I'll. Cool. This is interesting. Thanks so much for the call. Oh, was there anything else you wanted to? I don't want to cut you off here. Was there anything else you wanted to bring up?
I'll call back with some faith-based stuff from.
Oh, sounds good. This was great.
All right.
I'll look forward to you hearing from you online to look into this other stuff.
Sounds good. I'll talk to you later, Matt.
Being very vague for all the listeners out there.
Of course.
Take care.
Bye.
Got a new patron during the show. Pointless Stick Animation. Thank you so much for becoming a patron. Really appreciate the support. More super chats. Let me make sure I get them all. Already read Sherman's. Oh, Sherman sent another super chat. How long do you usually stream? And if I call in, do you prefer to talk about certain things? Oh, that was from earlier before he called in. But to answer that question for anybody else, I usually stream about anywhere from, I say, an hour to an hour and a half for the, the post show with the calls. More likely, it's usually around 2 to 3 hours. Although I'm trying to stick to the hour and a half, simply for, because people who don't listen live actually contact me and say, "Listen, your show is gone for too long. I can never catch the replays, and I miss out." So it's like I'm trying to work with two audiences. The live stream audience loves the long stuff. The recorded or replay audience likes nice and concise. So I'm trying to, that's why I do the first half of the show. So you get the nice, concise interview for about an hour. And then for both Scam Economy and Doomed, I do that. And the second half of the show, it's elongated for people who watch live. But also, being that sometimes we do the show so late, and I get tired. And I don't want anyone calling in and not getting me at 100%, because that's disrespectful. So I'm deciding that if I start feeling out of it, I gotta say that's it. That's a wrap. Someone's calling. I'll take this call really quick. Hey, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Matt, it's Josh from California.
Hey, Josh. What would you like to talk about?
So I, in part, called in to annoy your listeners who they don't like long stuff. Have you been following all the AEW shows?
I have. I mean, I was at Grand Slam on Wednesday.
Oh, cool.
I was really good. Really good.
How was
I was too long though. They need to they have Matt Binder live stream syndrome, where they went on for too long. Literally started at 7 with Dark. They taped 2 episodes for their YouTube show. Then they went live for Dynamite at 8. That's a 2-hour show. So that ended at 10 p.m. And then they record Rampage right after. but because they were doing the Grand Slam episode, what they call their special event at Arthur Ashe Stadium, Rampage was 2 hours. So we got out of there like 12:30, 1 o'clock.
Jesus, that's a lot.
Yes. Yes, because, it takes time in between each show to change the sets, to change the ring aprons and stuff like that. And then for the live show, obviously, the one that's from 8 to 10, it's a lot more tight. But for the stuff they're taping, it's a lot more loose because they could just edit it and, it doesn't have to fit within the 2 live hours because they edit it. So they could go a little bit longer. They could take their time between matches. So by the time we got out of Arthur Ashe Stadium, it was like, 12:30. By the time we got home, it was like after 1. It was fun. It was great. Every match was great. I'm not complaining because, I didn't want to watch 5 hours of wrestling. But after a couple hours, the crowd loses its steam. And that's what I mean in terms of like it was too long. Like the crowd wasn't as hot. Yeah. For the end matches.
Yeah, that's what they always said about WrestleMania, where it's like 7 hours in a day or whatever at that point.
Yeah,
And
I am
everyone's just
so
to
glad
go.
they do 2 days of WrestleMania now. Like I haven't gone to one yet. I'm sure I'll hate it that you have to buy 2 tickets when you want to see WrestleMania now. But it's from the standpoint of watching at home, much better to make it 2 days.
Yeah, that totally makes. The actual thing I wanted to talk about was following the Alex trial at all.
A little bit. I did see that he went apeshit the other day and sort of just blew up and said, "I'm sick of saying sorry." And, he doubled down on what he believed at the time. And I want to stress, because I don't want to take anything out of context, I watched that clip a number of times. It's pretty clear. A lot of people took it as him saying, like, I still believe that it was fake. It was a false flag, a Sandy Hook. But if you watch the clip, he's basically saying that he is not going to, like, change history and say he didn't believe it at the time. He's saying he absolutely believed it at the time. He wasn't saying he believed it now.
Yeah, but he's also saying he's not sorry, like, because he believed it, therefore he's not. He said, "Well, I apologize, Sandy Hook man," and he so fuck it. I'm not.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's clear he doesn't. I mean, it's clear he doesn't give a shit. I mean, it's clear that any apology or, overture he's given the families has been from a strictly trying to save his ass monetarily standpoint. I mean, this is a guy who's got absolutely no remorse for anybody, no empathy for anybody. He's a huge, complete piece of shit. And I brought this up many times before too. And I think it's very relevant because a lot of these guys are pieces of shit because they got absolutely nothing else going for them. And to me, the thing that makes Alex Jones the biggest piece of shit is that he's actually a talented broadcaster in terms of, having a radio voice, being able to clearly talk in a very entertaining fashion. I'm not talking about the content. I'm saying his particular style. He's very quick in terms of being able.
I agree with you.
And
if he
this,
were one of the big pieces of trash of all time, he would be one of the greatest wrestling managers of all time.
And to me right. And to me that makes him a really extra big piece of shit because he's very specifically choosing this not out of necessity, but because he wants to. And he wants to be like this, and he wants to do this particular line of work. And so I think he's a huge asshole.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that I guess people are, and Sam sort of missed this, and this is one of the things that made me think as I was watching, and they talked about it in the Majority Report, I think on Wednesday. I don't remember, or maybe it was morning. Actually, I think it was morning. Where they were very confused by Alex saying for the war in Iraq. And Sam, I guess, misses the context that to Alex, George Bush is a liberal. Like anyone to the left of him, and he's a John Bircher, so he's a psychopath, right-wing psychopath on the level of the the worst libertarian out there. George Bush was liberal. Hillary Clinton was a liberal. They're all on the same side.
Right.
They're all just, So it was interesting. But the thing, like,
Wait, what was Sam talking about? What was Sam talking about regarding?
just sort of the outburst, and when they were fighting back, and where the lawyer and Alex were fighting back and forth, Alex shot back at the lawyer about human lives, and how the liberals did the war in Iraq didn't care about the million Iraqis or whatever.
Right. Oh yeah, he views George W. Bush as a liberal, right?
Yes.
I mean, my take on this is that he knows he's gonna lose, so he's doubling down
he
on what
already
his.
lost.
Yeah. Oh,
It's a default judgment.
Oh,
So
it's over. Oh, wait.
it's
Oh,
about
right.
the amount of.
Right. Okay. But I mean, he knows he's gonna lose big money wise, and so at this point, I think he has made the assessment that he needs to perform for his audience in order for them to give him more money. And
Yes,
so, he's gonna ramp up what he thinks they want to see. He's gonna turn himself into the full blown martyr, free speech warrior. I'm fighting for you. They don't want to hear the truth. This is the thing they got me on because I'm getting, I'm right about everything else. And so, that's what he's playing up. And, I think it's going to work for him in terms of he's definitely going to make money off of it. Is it going to offset his legal bills? Probably not. I mean, he's about to pay a lot. It's going to be big. It's going to be big.
And so the part that the scam economy was, they were talking towards the end about donations that he received. The page that he has where you can donate crypto to him, and how the donations actually go directly to his wallet, not the show's wallet. And then supposedly he put the funds into the but I thought it would be interesting to just sort of, because the wallet is public, like talk about how these people get funded by, because he got the $9 million from one person.
Oh, you should check out. All right, I don't know if you saw it, but I had Michael E. Hayden of the Southern Poverty Law Center on an episode. I mean, he's been a regular doomed guest over the years, but I had him on earlier this year on Scam Economy for the first time. He was actually my guest at the live show in Brooklyn. But if you didn't attend that,
wrong side of the country for me.
But that's okay, because it's an episode of Scam Economy too. I uploaded the live show as an official episode. It's called Bitcoin Nazis, Ethereum Grifters, A Tale of Two Communities. And I got to get him back on because being that it was a live show, I was doing something a little bit different for a live audience and basically wanted to discuss the differences between the Bitcoin community and the Ethereum community. But for the segment where I spoke about Bitcoin, I had him on to discuss these sorts of things with Alex Jones and the donations towards him. So we get into it a little bit there, but I'm definitely thinking I got to get him back on to really dive deeper and do a full-blown episode on exactly what's going on with, like, these, right-wing conspiracy theorists, neo-Nazis, fascists, white supremacists who have been making a lot of money off of Bitcoin because they got in early, because they were wooed by the idea of a payment platform that couldn't ban them, like PayPal does, like Stripe does, like all these other platforms do. And so they got Bitcoin, their audience sent them Bitcoin back in 2012, 2013, when it was fairly low in value, and they held on to it. And now they're very rich, and, amazing how that worked out for them.
Yeah, it's really interesting, like the networks of payment that just exist that nobody knows about, or I mean, obviously some people track it, but like the general knowledge of it all and how it must influence the crypto space in general is pretty interesting.
Right. I mean, there's people who got rich, if not one of Alex Jones's biggest donors was a French developer who like bought Bitcoin really early and became super rich from it. And for some reason, I don't know the details of his life story, committed suicide. But before he committed suicide, he sent his $9 million of Bitcoin to Alex Jones.
That's lovely.
Yeah, or however, it was like something in the millions, 4 million, 5 million. It was something a lot, insane that he just sent to Alex Jones, and then he died. But yeah, thanks for the call. Really appreciate it. This brought up things that I need to obviously talk about on both Doomed and Scam Economy.
Yeah, no problem. Have a good weekend.
Yeah, you too. Take care. Always a pleasure to talk with you.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, folks. That's the end of the call-in segment. Gonna log off Skype and let's read the last few super chats, and then that's it. Jess from the West. Come on, Hobie. You know Friday night is date night. You know this, man. Can't catch the show tonight. Enjoy your stuff. Have a good one, dude. Thanks a lot, Jess. And I knew I could tell throughout the whole night it's been a much smaller than usual live audience, but I needed to get the Scam Economy episode up for this week. Monday, I recorded the episode. Tuesday was the Doomed live stream. Wednesday, I was at AEW. Thursday, I was at Last Podcast on the Left. So, I mean, tonight was the only night this week, and I got to give people a show. There'll be obviously weeks where a family event comes up or something like that where I will not be able to do a show that week. So, but I don't want to do that a lot. I want to make sure I always give you guys content. So if there's a week where I can make it work just on a different night, I'm going to do that. But I appreciate the support and the super chat, even though you can't watch tonight. Renee with a super chat. Oh, I like this, Renee. Scrap economy. That's good. I like that. You heard that, Sherman? Maybe you should start a podcast called The Scrap Economy. Daredevil with a super chat. Daredevil with 2 super chats. Gonna read them back to back. Do a parody of one of the Timcast songs. Dub that garbage. Replace the lyrics with dumb Tim Pool quotes. That could work. But you know what that song is? The music to that song is so boring. I don't know if I'd want to do that. I'm working on something, though. That's not a parody. I'm working on my own stuff. I haven't done it in a while, but I'm getting back into it. What happens when gamers find out how to speedrun meta shopping, wall glitching, do item dupes, break the game, and steal everything? That would be funny. Sherman already dropped a $50 super chat earlier in the night. And then afterwards, right before his call, he dropped a $20 one. And now, to end the show, he just dropped 2 more $20 super chats. Appreciate you taking my call earlier. Love the rest of this. Appreciate you. Keep going. Thank you so much, Sherman. Really appreciate the support. And looking forward to talking to you again on your next call to talk more about scrap. Let's shout out the Twitch folks. Who should I rate on Twitch when I wrap up? Who should I rate on Twitch? Thank you to Friar Tuck for subscribing with Prime. Really appreciate that. Valinova gave out 5 community gift subs. Thank you, Valinova. Tiny Panda 3 resubscribed with Prime. Subscriber for 5 months. Thank you, Tiny Panda 3. Last Hot Hopeful resubscribed with Prime. Subscriber for 2 months. Thank you so much. Fratachia subscribe with Prime. Thank you. Stakem 619 5 community gift subs. Thank you so much. Tokyo Hans 2 community gift subs. Thank you so much, Tokyo Hans. This one resubscribed tier 1 subscriber for 2 months. Thank you so much. Corn Pop for Perez resubscribe with Prime. Subscriber for 6 months. Thank you so much, Corn Pop. It Trulson subscribe with Prime. Thank you so much. Why everyone named Josh subscribe at Prime? Thank you. Why everyone named Josh? Counting Amberjacks, resubscribe at Prime, 2-month subscriber. Thank you so much. And as always, if you have an Amazon Prime subscription, connect your Amazon account to your Twitch account, and you can give me a free for you, Twitch Prime subscription every month. It doesn't cost you anything. Amazon's got to pay me for that. And remember, you got to manually renew it every month. That's where they get you. That's the catch. They don't auto subscribe you each month with the Twitch Prime subscriptions. All right, folks. Was there anything else? I think that I got all the super chats. All right, yeah. Once again, patreon.com/MattBinder. If you can afford to subscribe to the Patreon, that'd be great. If you can't, don't worry about it. Do when you can. Pranay says, "What about me, Matt? What did I miss, Pranay? Did I miss something?" Who am I rating? Who am I rating on Twitch? Let's see who's on right now. Twitch sub. What? Oh, you subscribed on Twitch, Pranay? I don't see you. Doesn't say your name. As a recent subscriber. Where is it? For some reason, you're not showing up, Pranay. I'm sorry. That's weird, but then I just saw you in the chat, and it highlighted your name in the chat. Pranay1976, thank you so much for the Twitch Prime subscription. 2-month subscriber. I don't know why it didn't show up, because it shows the activity feed where it lists the people who subscribe. Your name's not up there, but it shows you in the live chat with the subscription. That's weird. I'm sorry. I see a bunch of people saying Actual Jake. Who's that? Who's Actual Jake? I don't think I've ever rated him. Oh, Hassan is on right now. I've never been on when Hassan's been on. Should I rate Hassan with his 50,000 or however many? I'll do Actual Jake because he'll actually appreciate it because he's got obviously a smaller number of viewers. What's Actual Jake doing right now? I don't see anyone on. Just a spitting head. All right, everyone's asking me to rate Actual Jake. That's who I'm doing. I'll grab Hassan another day. Yeah, why is Hassan still on? He's never on at this time. 51,000 viewers. Jesus Christ. Gotta respect it. Says I'm already rating him, but it's not showing up. That's weird. I have no idea what's going on here. Well, I may have just screwed something up here. Well, anyway. All right, everyone. Have a great night. Thank you so much for the support. And I will see you all on Tuesday. Have a great weekend, everybody.